Behind the familiar landmarks and the faces we know, there is a history which makes Boston the city we value and enjoy today. Visible reminders of this past place us in time as well as space. Boston's story was begun more than 300 years ago by immigrants and religious refugees who founded the city. Since then, Boston has been changed and enriched by a stream of new arrivals who earned their place here. Irish, Italians, African Americans, Chinese, each adding distinct reminders of their heritage to the city. But the history of one thread in this fabric is harder to find. Although the first Jew arrived in Boston in the mid-1600s, it wasn't until 200 years later that a real Jewish community was established. In the last quarter of the 1800s, and continuing through the turn of the century, a gathering wave of Jewish immigrants changed the face of Boston.
There was some sort of a pogrom going on at the time, and I remember my mother saying that was the reason why she had to take a month-old child, that was me, and take off for America.
By 1907, there were 80,000 Jews living in Boston. The last to arrive were called Russian Jews, although they came from all over Eastern Europe. They were poor and oppressed, fleeing desperate hardships and increasing threats. Each family packed their memories in whatever they could carry and left their homelands hoping for a new beginning.
My grandmother came from Vilna when she was only 12 years old. She couldn't read or write, and she got a job in a buttonhole factory, making buttonholes on garments.
Their first stop in Boston was the tenements of the North End. In 1900, 80% of the neighborhood's population was Italian or Jewish. When the North End became too crowded, many moved to the West End. It became the largest Jewish neighborhood in the city. Yiddish was the common language of Boston's immigrant Jews. In the West End, Jewish culture thrived. There were Yiddish newspapers and magazines, theaters, and songs. On every block and street corner, signs of vibrant Jewish life. Jewish tailors and barbers, kosher butchers and restaurants. Men, women, and children were all busy making a new life in the land of opportunity, striving to belong, but taking comfort in a familiar language and lifestyle.
And of course, I think what held them together quite a bit was the religion as it was practiced in those days. They needed something to hold on to.
The Jews of Boston joined together to pray and to maintain their strong cultural bonds. They prayed in apartments, in storefronts, in houses of worship abandoned by earlier arrivals. When economic gains allowed them to express their culture in tangible form, they began to build their own synagogues, celebrating their presence with pride and dignity.
It was the most important place. Everybody went to the Shul, whatever holiday it was. If you weren't particularly religious, you went anyway.
By 1920, there were over 50 such synagogues in Boston. Today, only one historic building survives intact, the Vilna Shul. It is a visible monument to the courageous men and women who pooled their meager resources to build this house of worship. The original design is amazingly intact. A Star of David proudly shows its face to the street below. Skylights flood the sanctuary with light. Large stained glass windows line the sides of the L-shaped space. The ark is carved with the age-old symbols of our Judaic heritage: the Ten Commandments, the Lions of Judah, and the Star of David. At the top of the ark sits a magnificent eagle, a powerful symbol of freedom finally found in America. It is the only Boston synagogue on the National Register of Historic Places. Like Ellis Island, it is a legacy to us and to future generations, a tangible reminder of those who dared and struggled so that we could be free. In simplicity, in silence, it is suffering the deterioration caused by the ravages of time and neglect.
ממזרח שמש עד מבוא, מהולל שם אדושם, רם על כל גויים אדושם.
Let the Vilna Shul be preserved to take its rightful place among Boston's historic sites. It should be more than just a hollow remnant from our past. With your support, we will create a unique, vibrant cultural center housed in this once sacred building, bursting with exhibits and programs. Here we will explore the Jewish experience in Boston, the contributions Jews have made to our city and our nation. A place for all of us, young and old, residents and visitors, Jews and non-Jews, to gain respect for cultural diversity, the differences and similarities that weave us all together. Join us as we move ahead with pride to make this vision a reality and a significant legacy we can pass on to our children. What better tribute to honor those who came before?